Okay, now we're going to start C, which is the knit stitch. There's only two basic stitches that you work with when you're knitting. One is the knit stitch and D, the purl stitch. I have 12 stitches on my needle now. You have to make sure that ultimately when you practice, you need to make sure that you have enough slack that your stitches can go up and down. They're loose enough, right? I accidentally made the second and the third stitch kind of tight, so it's not really easy to move. But look at these ones, okay? So it's easier to work and it's easier to handle when you're knitting, okay? So the knit stitch. When you were casting on, what you did was you went into the loop, right? Like that. You went over, right? Then you went over, then you went under, and you scooped it out, scooped out its guts, and then you put it back on the first needle, right? So for the knit stitch, you don't do that. You skip the last step. You keep the stitch onto the right needle, okay? Again, under, over, under, and drop. For this, you have to drop the piece again. Okay, like this. And then this goes down. I'm going to demonstrate again without speaking so you know. Overhead view. Okay, just this is your first row. Congratulations. So I'm going to keep working, repeating the same motion for a couple of more rows. This is your once you're done working the stitches on one needle and they're all shifted to the second one, that's when you know that you're done with a row. Okay, stitch, 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 row. Okay, this makes it easier for you to understand different patterns and what different knitters are talking about when they're working or when they're writing patterns or they're commenting, replying to you on their post. So I'm going to do a couple of more rows so my piece measures a little bit more, and then I'll show you another stitch, okay, which is D, the purl stitch. Okay, so I've got a couple of rows in here and you can see the way that it's worked out, okay? They're they're kind of waves or seas, like mirror versions of each other going down. This is known as the garter stitch. Garter stitch means that you knit all the stitches. This cowl was also knit in garter stitch, okay? So since it was I used double strands for this, so it had a more chunky look. So this was kind of more appropriate with the size 10 needles that I used. But since to demonstrate the technique, I didn't want to confuse you, so I used single strand and it came out looking like this. Okay, it's softer, chunkier, it has, kind of more airy, kind of more lacy, and this one on the other hand is not like that. If you use a smaller size needle and a single strand, it's going to give the same look as this cowl.